Hi, I'm Eric Lanask. We're here at Editor's Day in Santa Clara, California. In the studio with me today from MegaChips is Maurizio Paganini. Maurizio, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Eric.
So, MegaChips, what I'm really interested in hearing about is what you're doing in the IoT space, but also a little bit about how that sort of evolved out of the company's overall portfolio.
Mm-hmm. So our company is a semiconductor fabless company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our background is pretty much the same as many other companies you probably talk to, but we have been growing gradually to the conviction that IoT is definitely a space
mm-hmm.
where the semiconductor will have a new opportunity for a big wave of new products and new business opportunities. So we have actually grown from our original roots that were mainly Japanese oriented and very custom devices oriented to growing through acquisition, and we acquire some technologies that are bringing us to the IoT world. We acquire some specific technologies into the communication space, mostly for industrial and I would say more of farming and cattle management. And then we started to develop through the acquired know-how and technologies some internal devices that are more for the computing side of the IoT. Our focus in IoT is mostly on the node side. So we're just focusing on what is closer to the human or the element to be monitored and observed or acted on.
Mm-hmm. How does developing chips, making chips for the IoT world, differ from what you've traditionally done?
Well, that is there is something that we're discovering ourselves a little bit. I think most of the companies like us, is just using what they learn through development of smartphones and mobile devices. But we're seeing that that is not sufficient. IoT requires very specific, dedicated, and tailored devices, and so we're trying to reuse most of the knowledge we develop in mobile application kind of devices, but we're seeing that we need to do something more specific, and to that extent, our computing platform is actually a very interesting implementation of a computing device where we're using a Cadence Tensilica core, and we add to it very specific instructions that are tailored for the specific application we're targeting. Okay, so we're making the core very optimized for the specific segment. Okay, being home automation or being cattle management. They sound similar to the base for the underlying technology, but they require quite different approaches.
It's certainly one of the things that helps anybody getting into the IoT space succeed is having a number of successful partnerships, and obviously that's something that as a chip maker you're going to want to have too. Tell me a little bit about how you've been building those relationships.
Yeah, we have actually built a relationship on multiple, I would say, vectors. Okay, on the technology side, we have partnered with IMEC, for example. Just yesterday, our CEO gave a keynote speech to the IMEC annual convention. So with IMEC, we developed an antenna for RF, sub-gigahertz RF design that is very tailored to IoT. Okay, long range, low power, and high reliability. On a grander scale, we partner with, we participated to the Embed consortium of ARM, okay, for the development of new protocol stacks, and we're contributing actively some interesting additional features to standard protocols that is allowing to increase the reach of the communication of these devices. If we go beyond the technical aspects instead, we are partnering with a lot of algorithm developing companies to basically provide fully finished products that can be either in activity recognition or context recognition or even more elaborate solutions for healthcare, wellness, and so on and so forth. So we are really working on a very broad spectrum of partnerships to enrich not only our technical side but also our reach to customers and service providers.
So you mentioned healthcare earlier in our conversation. You mentioned farming and agriculture.
Yes.
Certainly two key vertical markets. Are there others where you're focusing?
Right now we are very active in wearable, and most of our applications, of our solutions, let's say, are tailored toward wellness and fitness. So it's bands or smart watches, but with a focus on typically blood pressure, oxygenation, measurement, and the like. Okay, so not the classical pedometer and right. So forth.
How do you differentiate from the other semiconductor companies?
Well, that's it's an interesting question. Our approach is to innovate, be very specific on the markets we serve, and be very innovative in those markets. So to offer to our customers and partners the most compelling technologies before everybody else does. Okay, so the combination of the two, being very focused and investing a lot in being always innovative, is the way that we approach the market. And that has been proven to be quite successful. We have been able to basically stay ahead of our typical Chinese and Taiwanese competition, and also be able to establish good partnership with other big companies in the western side of the semiconductor world. So,
as we continue to see the IoT industry and industries continue to grow, how is that going to factor in? How is that going to impact what you're doing?
Well, there are two aspects. As we were saying before, we strongly believe into partnerships. So within that is not only the fact that individual companies will grow, and we, of course, hope to do, but it's also going to be how you play well into an ecosystem, how you are a good citizen inside the ecosystem you're part of, and how you help that ecosystem to grow. Okay, in the end, so it's going to be a growth that will not come from individuals, but we think it's going to be really an overall concerted growth of groups of companies that will come together to offer the full integrated vertical solution. So that's the way we think it's going to go.
Excellent. Well, certainly wish you well in those endeavors. Maurizio, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Eric.